good, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Disetso and you're tuned into a safe space where we have hard conversations on life, love, and all things healing. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. I know you're gonna love this place. Now do yourself a favor and add some flavor to the channel and subscribe, please, pretty please, with a cherry on top. Really think you should do it. I don't know what I wanted to say, but I really think you should do it. Anyway, today, I don't want to go into any details or whatever, greetings and whatnot. Today, you are confronting my brokenness with me. You are going to help me understand my story. And I hope as I unpack and do this thing, you guys will also be able to confront your own brokenness and you are able to understand your story. A while back, I think in 2020, I did a video of how the Holy Spirit showed me the root of part of why I had low self-esteem and where it came from. And I'll put the video up here because I don't want to go much into detail, but I have been living with this disease of low self-esteem where I because I'm an overthinker, I am also, like, my attachment style is anxious. Like, I'm overly anxious, only to people that I am comfortable with or that know me intimately, right? And I realized a few weeks ago that I need to go back to understanding how I feel and why I feel certain way, to honor certain ways and to honor some feelings, because sometimes I spiral because I refuse to honor certain feelings that I get when I discern something, if I can put it that way, and why I feel the need to not listen or to honor the feelings that I get from the get-go, you know. And what better way to make you guys understand my anxiety than giving you an example about my relationships, my past relationships, and how I have been in those places and how I've come to see a pattern in all these things all these experiences, and how I also then came to interpret those things. I'm going to be guided by the Purpose in Pain journal. Obviously, it doesn't look like this anymore, guys. It's prettier, it has a leather cover, so even when you're drinking your tea, it won't mess it up. It can be your best friend. You can travel with it. Look, can't wait for that to arrive. Like I said, it is 250 rands to pre-order it, and after that, when it arrives, it will go back to its original price. This is like, it's not a journal, it's a healing guide, and that's why I'm using it today to help me confront my brokenness, right? We're gonna do the part that says understanding your story. I don't know if you will be able to see it, but yeah, this is the part of the book that speaks about understanding your story. I have there a quote by Brene Brown that says that you either walk inside your story and own it, or you stand outside your story and hustle for your worthiness. And we don't want to be hustling for our worthiness. No, we're going to define what makes us worthy, and we're going to now declutter our mind. I speak about in this guidebook that like we know and we have read and we have seen that the mind is the greatest battlefield for the enemy, and he uses that to help you speak against you, to help you speak against your own worth. So in order for us, there's a lot of things that I speak about, like repenting from, self-inflicted pain, repenting from victimhood. Those things clear the battlefield for you so that you are able to stand firm and fight correctly, right? So understanding your story is one of the fundamental things that you need to do for yourself. And I took advice from myself and said, I need to understand my story again. Just because I wrote it doesn't mean I fully understand what my story is. So I'm gonna quickly read this quickly, and then I'm gonna do the task. So in this guidebook, there'll be like a reading for you to do, and then there'll be also tasks for you to do, right? So you read and then you do the tasks, the questionnaire and whatnot. And yeah, you get to be guided on how to navigate where you are, where you come from, and where you're going, right? Cool. Let me quickly read. I'm gonna skip some parts because I don't want this to be too long. We need to get into confronting my brokenness. Have you ever had someone come up to you and tell you you need healing or you're broken, and you immediately became defensive? I've experienced this back in 2011. It was my first year in varsity, and I was struggling to find myself a church I could call home. In a random conversation with a pastor whose church I visited, he said to me, "You have an identity problem," and my heart went immediately no. What? Me? I know I've been through a lot, but I have healed, and I am really born again now. Tongue speaking at that, there was no way I could be having identity problems. I'm a child of God, please. I literally wrote it like that. However, here we are 12 years later, and I understand why he said that. I had come from a home where I spent most of my childhood and teenage life wishing my parents divorced, and at some point I was also blamed for how things turned out between my parents. And although I found my way to Christ in that process, I still harbored pain and a certain level of resentment. Right, I need you to note that, right? There was blame in my childhood, right? And I was wishing and praying for a way out for my parents, right? And in return, I harbored pain and resentment towards myself and to them, right? And then see, the thing is, every time we hear the words that allude to pain or brokenness, we already associate them with bad. Not just the words meaning bad, but we take them on as we are the bad ones, right? It happens to us because we deserve it. That's not in the book, I'm just saying. Was I praying less? No. Was I still hurting? Yes. Did I know I was still hurting? No. And this is where this understanding your story comes in. I didn't care to pause to think about what it could mean. I just didn't want another person telling me I wasn't good enough. And trust me, this is not what the pastor was saying. When he said to me, you have an identity problem, it wasn't because he was saying you were not good enough, but I took it as that. Why? Because of everything else that I listed, right? Cool. This was an opportunity for me to confront my brokenness, to ask further questions, to inquire of the Lord, but I was never taught to engage my pain or brokenness. Everything I was taught was to cover and avoid. This is a challenge I'd like to think we all have faced. There are not enough teachings on how to deal with hurt, and trying to explain brokenness to Christians has honestly been the toughest part of my ministry. I'm telling you all this because I really want you to let your guard down and trust that I'm in no way trying to condemn you, but to bring you back to the true meaning of healing and what it means to rely on God for it. You may be asking yourself, but this is where do I begin? Well, you started already by picking up this book, or by reading, or by watching this video, and also you're going to pick up the book because you also need some healing, right? In the pursuit of finding purpose in my pain, I have found the importance of understanding my story and understanding the reason for my being, so that I can get the understanding and exactly what God's purpose for my life is. This is the best way, I believe, to understand your pain. It will help highlight areas in your life that need healing, and will help you examine your strengths and become aware of your weakness. This is now week 6, where we speak about understanding your story. And I am going to do something. Yeah, I think we'll do the tasks later on, but I'm going to tell you what happened. So, the year is 2007. Yes. The year is 2007, and I am on Mixit. And I'm on Mixit, and I meet a guy. No, on MIG 33. That's how old I am. I was on MIG 33. And I think I met a guy through a MIG 33 group, or was it a Mixed group? I don't know. I met this guy, and then we were talking, and then we started dating. So my first relationship was off Mixed. I don't even remember what my name Mixed was, but I was on Mixed, and got into a relationship with this guy. Really cool. I think 2007 and then 2008. Yeah, I think we dated for about 2 years or so. So when he broke up with me, he said to me, and I'm going somewhere, right? I'm going somewhere, and take into consideration what I said about my family, right? So he says to me, look, we need to break up because he doesn't want to be in a relationship with somebody that he's not going to partner with. And then I was like, oh my gosh. And also we're in a long distance relationship. He was all the way that side and I was all the way this side. I don't want to say what it is, where we were, because it might just reveal who it is, but which I doubt. But anyway, so then we broke up because of that. And then after that, he then saw somebody else, and I knew about it. I saw it because we had mutual friends, and boy, did not sit well with me. First I was like, it made me feel like, because that was not the reality, it made me feel like I was not good enough, I was not worthy of this man or this relationship, because one, I don't want to sleep with him, or and also you just want to find reasons why. What does she have that you don't have? What is she pretty enough? Is she prettier than you? Whatever. And I took those on, right? And then obviously had to move on and whatnot. And then I got into my second relationship in high school, and this person also cheated. Well, this person cheated on me. Not also, I don't know if that one cheated, but this one cheated on me. And the person, they slept together, and I found stuff on Mixed, because he had gave me his password, right? He gave me his password, and I went on to his Mixed, and I was chatting to his people. It was a thing back then, right? And then on Mixed, there was these groups these chats that you can archive, and in archived chats I found conversations between him and the girl about how great last night was and whatnot. Again, it was like, oh my gosh, what is happening here? And I remember shortly after that I had like a fling with someone. I really liked that guy, and that guy just never really chose me, and I was just like, oh man, he did everything, like everything. Like, he was nice, he calls, come out, we'll go out, buy me gifts, but never really got to like date me. And he said, I think when we spoke, he said to me, you're too much of a good person to end up with me because I'm going to ruin you. And I don't know, I didn't receive that well. In my head, I'm just like, okay, another person who chooses somebody else. Okay, cool. We move right along. I'm still in varsity, and then now I'm born again. Now I'm like, Jesus, you are Lord. I don't want no man in front of me. I'm good. My first boyfriend in varsity, I spoke about. I don't really want to talk about him, but he was also very bad for my self-esteem. And then I met this one guy, hit it off. We were like, dude, we even prayed, my friends and I even prayed about it. We've been praying about this guy. Like this, we're like, no guys, this is it. This is it. Like, this one is your husband, right? We were like, close. No. Wait a minute. This story is a mess. But anyway, before this guy that we're praying about, there was another guy that I met. And but we were friends. We were literally just friends. We were friends, and everything was nice. We did things together a lot. We spent time together, a lot of time together. And because we spent so much time together, people will be like, oh, there's something going on there. And we just chose to ignore the elephant in the room. And eventually we had a conversation about it, and then we're just like, he's like, nah man, I don't think this is gonna work, wada. We know what people are saying, and let's not pretend. I like you, but I don't think I want to be in a relationship with you. No, he didn't say that, but I interpreted like that. And now I'm saying my interpretation. You see See, guys, the battlefield of the mind. But anyway, he didn't say that. Honestly, he didn't say that. But he then did tell me that there's a girl that he met, and he really wants to pursue something with her. And we're like, okay. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I hurt. Like, I was hurt. I was really hurt. And you know, the funny thing is, I was not hurt because I thought we would be together, but somehow because we had that conversation, it made me go back to the, oh, you're not good enough. They'll always choose somebody else but you. Anyway, I'm being too vulnerable in this. I don't think I like it. I think I'm gonna need tissue. Anyway, so that went by, I think, yeah. And then there was this guy. We were literally praying about, even my pastors knew that we were praying about this guy and really liked him. We get along really well. Like, we're like this. Like, we were like that. And then that also didn't work out because also in my head I'm like, oh, it didn't work out because there's somebody else. And yeah, and oh no, this guy brought somebody to an event that I hosted. Yeah. And then I was like, and like, I thought, you understand? Like, I was just like, how about you know? Anyway, so that passed. And then I got married. Yeah, and then when I got married, things happened in my marriage. And so I think this part I don't think I mentioned before. Now, with everything that I had gone through, when I met my ex-husband, he was always there was a girl, like there was a girl that he was dating. And I remember the first conversation I had with him was like, oh, he's in a 7-year-old relationship, whatnot. And I was like, yo, run away. And I crushed my crush right then and there. And then when he was pursuing, obviously he would tell me, no, they had broken up and whatnot. But this girl was also somehow in the picture. Like she was just somehow in the picture. Also the family liked her and they knew her. And obviously 7 years, guys, I've been dating for 7 years, so I understand now. Back then I was just like, what do you even mean? But so there was that, also that level of comparison in my head, but also because of what people were also saying around the whole thing of him. How could he leave her? She's a beautiful girl. How can she leave her? I mean, how can he leave her for me? It was called a rock somewhere there. But anyway, they were like, oh no, he left a diamond for a rock, and me, I'm the rock of ages. But anyway, yeah, so those things were being said, and taking into consideration everything else that I carried from my previous shenanigans, relationships, it was like, here I am again, and I'm being compared to somebody. So I think, I'm not sure, I'm going to literally delve deeper into understanding it and confronting this brokenness. But I think one of the reasons why I actually gave my ex-husband the chance that I gave him was to prove to myself that he can choose me and not her. And it had nothing to do with like just me dating him, not even getting married to him, like just me dating him. I think at the back of my mind it was like, oh, I actually have somebody who chooses me, you know. And which is bad. You should never base your decision to be with someone on that. It showed just how low of myself I thought, right? And yeah, then fast forward to the marriage ending and him doing whatever he did, and in him doing the whatever he did, in him cheating, and coming to me to tell me that one of her girls will always be better than me. Took me back to the whole thing. Yeah, there should be something wrong with me. Like, there should be something wrong with me, and I can't shake it off, because why on earth am I not good enough? And what triggered me to start thinking about, there's a pattern also in how I get into the next relationship and how I leave, and I'm speaking on the basis of where my mind was when I get into a relationship, and where my mind is when I leave the relationship. It's always on a basis of I'm not worthy to be even in this relationship. And when I leave, it's like an affirmation that, yeah, obviously there's someone better, you know. And recently got into something that also just triggered me to come to a place where I felt like I am not enough. Like, and I struggled with it because I was just like, I think I am good. I think I'm happy with myself, right? But why do I always have to go back to this question of am I enough? Am I good enough? You know? And it also makes me act in a way that I don't like. And it also makes me resent not even the next person but myself for allowing myself to feel that way again. So I had to sit down. I'd sit down with my feelings, I'd sit down with my thoughts and redefine what makes me worthy, and to make sure that I remove myself from other people's actions. You know, how they decide to treat me, how they decide to be, has nothing to do with my worth. And that was the most difficult thing I've ever had to do, because then I had to now confront the issues that I had. Why do I feel like that? Why do I take in things like, why do I take in things the way that I take them in? And why do I make it personal all the time? And I realized that I just didn't trust that I'm good enough. And I think I'm at a point where I am trying to come back to a place where I trust myself enough to be like, no, you are good enough. And whoever sees that in you will assure it, you know. And what I also noticed in these relationships, I feel like I was a different person each time. The only time that I was fully myself is this year. No, fully myself, right? But even in that, I realized that I was loving or relating from a point of fear. And I said this on my YouTube, on my Instagram, that the other time I was sitting down and I was narrating to a therapist. I'm like, oh, nah, I'm a low maintenance person, that I don't care much for flowers, but if a person treats me right and we just need to be friends and whatever, I don't need much, you know. And then the therapist said to me, no, it's not that you don't need much. It's not that you are a low maintenance girl. No, you like things. You like being pampered. You like being showered with love. You like people appreciating you, but you just have taught yourself, because of what you've been through, not to expect anything from people. The same way I don't expect a person to choose me. Like, subconsciously, I don't expect it, which is weird because I want to get married again, but subconsciously I'm like, I don't expect anyone to choose me. So when somebody chooses me, it comes as a shock. And it's like, what do you want? I don't have anything to give you. There are so many people out there that can, you know, give you whatever you want. I can't give you. And then I operate from that place. Then I begin to, and there's a place of love, of fear, of this person has chosen me. Now I need to show them why they chose me. Now I'm acting out of character, and I'm acting out of fear of losing this person, because if I lose them, it affirms the fact that I'm not good enough. I don't know if I'm making sense, but this is literally what happened. And I had to sit down with myself and say, whoa, wait a minute. You love flowers, those specific flowers. You love those specific flowers, and you love it when somebody shows you that they've thought of you, you know. And flowers, I guessed you for that. Like, it's like, oh, I saw these flowers, I saw these white lilies, and I thought of you and I bought them. I love those kind of things, but I was so afraid to express my love for those things because I was afraid that they won't be done for me because I'm not worth receiving them. It's like, I'll make an example of my birthdays. I've always been a person who makes a fuss about my birthdays. Like, look, I'll count down from the 1st of January. Like, oh, 28 days, 27 days to go. Like, I was that girl, and I would always want to do something on my birthday. But as years go by, and wait, so my birth, I made a decision in my head that I'm gonna celebrate my birthdays on my birthday, because growing up, my parents, like, my mom is a nurse and my dad was a teacher, and they got paid. So my mom would get paid mid-month and my dad would get paid at the end of the month. And my birthday is somewhere there, Kamampara week, on the 28th, not on the 31st, not on closer to the 15th, it's like on the 28th. So on my birthday, I had to wait until my dad gets paid, and then they buy me cake, and then they sing for me. They sing for me on my birthday, but you know, as a kid, like, a cake is your birthday, right? So I'd have to wait until the 31st for my dad to get paid before I can celebrate my birthday. And I'd be lucky if the 31st falls on a Sunday, because then or on a Saturday, so then he will get his money closer to my birthday, right? And I think from then onwards, I was like, I was going to celebrate my birthdays every time. But as years go by, I don't know what it is that shifted, that made me feel like I don't need to celebrate my birthday anymore. Even though I'd want to be celebrated or want to go out to celebrate my birthday, I would just be some type of way. So what I resorted to do is to make plans for my birthday so that people come and celebrate me. And that was also a way for me to remove the expectation of other people celebrating me, because what if they don't? What if nobody comes to my birthday? What if nobody celebrates me on my actual birthday, you know? So I had that fear. So I would always want to do something, make plans for my birthday so that, yeah, people can come and celebrate me. And when I didn't, so I think for a few years in my marriage, I didn't literally I made it seem like I did not care about my birthdays. Oh, guys, I'm gonna cry. I made it seem like I don't care about my birthdays because I didn't want to put pressure on my ex-husband, but also I didn't want to be disappointed, you know, that I want to celebrate my birthday a certain way, and maybe he couldn't, or I didn't want to even think beyond the fact that he couldn't, because if I thought he didn't want to, then it would have broken me, right? So those kind of things. So when my therapist said to me, you are responding from a place of trauma and a place of fear, I also just realized that it's also from a place of pride. I love from a place of fear and a place of pride. I will give you, like, if I like you and I love you, whether you're a friend or whatever, I will go, like, yeah, I love you, okay? Whether you want me to drive to wherever, I will drive you. Well, if it's within my capacity, that is, right? And I think only this year I started to think, but can you see that you're not allowing people to love you the way you want to be loved, because you are afraid if you express exactly how you want to be loved, they won't come to the party. And I had to now re-examine whether the love language of words of affirmation really is my love language, or if it's something that literally just speaks to my trauma, right? I want people to validate me, but I also realized this year that the validation that only comes with words also is not enough, because I've come to a point where I have gained somewhat confidence in myself, right, and in my esteem, that words alone are not enough. So what was my first love language then became my second, or my third. Words of affirmation actually has become my third love language, and my first one is quality time, and the second one is physical touch. I used to hate being touched. I used to dislike being touched, but now it's like I long for it. And then I had to come sit down and realize that, sure, I need to give myself space for my love languages to change according to my seasons and where I am and what I'm healing and what I'm yet to heal. But I also need to understand why they change the way they do. Now, I want us to do, I don't know if this makes sense. I feel like I'm all over the place. You know, when I wrote it down, I knew exactly how I wanted to articulate it, but it's not working. So this is what I do. Because I believe that the brokenness that we carry, sometimes it's based on your lineage, it's based on how you've been brought up. So you can pick up certain things, certain personalities. I can pick up a lot of my personalities from my dad. My dad was very hardcore when you see him, but he was very emotional. I think he also wrote a lot. And he was very dramatic. I think me and my dad, we share personalities, right? And I had to make a list of those things that I picked up in myself, picked up in my dad, picked up in my aunt, who's my dad's younger sister. And I wrote them down. Like I listed the things down, which is also one of the tasks. Day 1 of week 6 and 7, like make a list of the brokenness you have noticed in your family line or in yourself. Then you begin to write, and it's good to write them, like to separate your pages, to write, okay, this is dad, this is me, this is whoever, and then so that you are able to connect the dots, right? And then categorize these into 4 areas of your healing board. So I think I'll post this one because I want to do a healing board session with you guys on a separate video, right? And then this is the one that actually blew my mind. What behavioral patterns, misfortune, habits, traits, events can you attribute to the reason for these things happening, which is the things that you were listing down. You were listing. So the things that I was detailing now, I was detailing the events that happened that brought out all these things, right? And then the last one is, can you identify similar traits, red flags you possessed in all the things that you were listing from other people in your family? And so from there, I was able to see that, okay, my anxious attachment style comes from this place. One, because when my parents were going through whatever they were going through, I had to now grow up quickly to be able to stomach that, and also make sure that my little brother doesn't experience it as well. But it made me super hyper vigilant, very sensitive. So the things that I saw my dad do to my mom, I'm very aware of. I'm very it's like there's an alert that when a person does something similar to what he does, and immediately in my head I'm like, he's gonna do what my dad did to my mom, so he's gonna do to me what my dad did to my mom. So then I immediately respond anxiously to that, so on and so forth. So this will take time. It will take more than a week, but you're gonna have to sit down and literally confront every part of you. Like recently I realized that every time something happens that reminds me of my past relationships or my marriage, my failed marriage, I don't want to associate it with it. I want to block you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to say anything. And I also realized recently that I find it hard to articulate myself, because in my marriage I wasn't able to fully articulate myself, how I'm feeling, how things make me feel. I used to think that everything that happens must happen because I did something wrong. So when it was time to actually verbalize how they've hurt me, it's too late because I've let it fester for so long, So I realized that I can feel things and I can see that something's wrong, but I'll be afraid to confront it. One, because I've convinced myself that I'm at fault, or two, I've convinced myself that these people are doing it because I have done something wrong. No, I've said this already, but yeah, I've convinced myself that these people are doing it because they have experienced something better that I cannot give. You get what I mean? So it's such a cycle of things that bring you back to the same thought, but until you confront that thought, you keep coming back to it. you keep coming back to it. Trace it back to where it is. Like, I realize now, if this incident didn't happen this year, I wasn't gonna realize that I picked up all these sense of unworthiness every time I got into a relationship. It had nothing to do with how my parents treated me. No, it had everything to do with how I went in when I went into a relationship and what I got out of it. It was definitely not healthy. It was toxic. And I was being toxic to myself, and coming to a place where I have to learn not to give love the way I want to give love, and not be afraid that somebody will not reciprocate it, and to be fully myself with good intentions without thinking that I'm in some virtual competition. Yeah, I don't know. I think I rushed through, or rather I messed up what I wanted to say today, but I hope it helps somebody. That, Lord, may the Lord help us to quiet our minds so that we don't make things up outside of who He has made us up to be, And I think that has been the prayer of my heart, that, Lord, I don't want to outthink you. I don't want to outthink my worth. And the worth I'm talking about is the one that He has given me. And it's a battle. It's a battle, child. It's a battle. When I speak to somebody who's securely attached, it's like I'm just mumbling, and I think I'm mumbling now. But when I speak to somebody who's also like me, we just like, oh my gosh, I get you, right? But to get to a point where I'm just satisfied with just me, and somebody else's actions become somebody else's action. Somebody said, and to also take people's actions for what they are. Like, if a person doesn't like you or doesn't want you anymore, it's not an invitation for you to chase after them, to show them that you are worthy of them liking you or wanting you. It's just no, it's not even an invitation. It's just for you to let it go and let them be, and let them live with the decision. And I think that's what is hard for me, because I just feel like if I like you, I like you. Whether you're my friend, I'm gonna like you, and I won't even take no for an answer. But I'm learning to also let that be. Let it be. And if a person says I don't like you, or shows you that they don't like you, you need to just come to a point where you actually believe them, and you stop giving them the access that you gave them before they showed you how they feel about you. I don't know why that just became a relationship seminar thing, but I just feel like right now, when I'm gathering my things from my understanding your story and understanding your lineage findings brought to you by Purpose in Pain book, I realized that I come from a very anxious people, and I need to be able to differentiate when I'm discerning something and when I'm feeling something, because sometimes my feelings may be wrong, and they may distort what I'm discerning, and that's a journey I'm walking with God, right? And it's not been easy. It has not been easy at all to accept rejection as redirection. We could be like, oh, that's so deep, but it is not. It really is not as cute. And that's where I am. This part of my life is accepting rejection as redirection, and the pain of the redirection. Yeah, that's it from me. This was long. But I hope it's helpful to somebody. I think I'll this time next time when I do something, I'm gonna read it out so that it makes sense in my head, because now I'm overthinking. But thank you for coming to my TED Talk. My name is Disetso, and I hope you enjoyed this. Please don't forget to like and to subscribe to my channel. And until next time.